Hey, welcome to the podcast, Ugo.
Thank you, sir.
One question I like to ask every guest is, who do you say you are?
That's a really good question. Who do I say I am? I don't know. I'm Ugo. Um, I like to think, um, that's a good question. I like to think that when the bell tolls, that folks will say he tried to help, he tried to be of service the best he could.
Mm,
That's who I think I am.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to interview you or just sit down and have this conversation because knowing you, knowing your family, and seeing how far we go back, it's always cool to. Now I'm finding that there's this term that a good friend of mine always says is that you're an adult now and you have to behave as an adult and treat other people as adults. Like you can't continue to be the little kid that always looks up and thinks that you don't have a seat at the table. But like having a seat at the table now, it's encouraging to recognize myself and understand that other people like yourself do see me, and it's like being peers now. It's kind of strange, but it's like, oh, like, I guess we're on the same playing field at this point.
100%. In my tribe, we have a saying that growth is when a man is done growing up,
Mhm.
we have to wait for the other man, right? So essentially, um, you grow up to be an adult, and then once you're an adult, you stop.
Yeah.
You wait for others to be an adult, and they catch up to you, and it's everybody is at the table now, So totally key into what you said.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your background with your last name being Ezeoke. I think some Nigerian kin might be able to recognize the name, but tell me about a little bit where you grew up and how you came to be where you're at now.
Um, Nigerian, as you said, my tribe is the Igbo tribe. I think one man once put it nicely. It's like um, we're all a construct of the British in Nigeria. And before they defined and put boundaries around it, we were first of all tribal,
Mm.
right? We were first of all family, then tribal, and then as of 1960s, the boundaries came, right? And we now call ourselves Nigerians, right?
Yeah.
So along that line, I'm first of all Igbo, and then I'm Nigerian, and I've been in the States for 23 years.
Mm.
Um, went to college here. I went to school back home. I went to school in the village
Mm.
in my, I guess we call it elementary school here.
Mhm.
Uh, the folks we went to school, we were middle class.
Yeah.
My dad had a philosophy that he didn't want us to go to private school.
Mm.
I remember one time some of our friends were all in private school, all the doctors' kids and lecturers' kids. And we went to my dad and we're like, look, everybody has left this village government school. They're all in private school. And he's like, he went to a village private school
Mm.
and he's now a doctor. And he's like, whatever you want to be, you can achieve it by going to this school.
Yeah.
And he refused to switch us. And going to that school where the other students went to school barefoot in tattered clothes. Some of them would go to farm and then run to the market to set up their mother's table where she sells tomatoes on a table, like what do we call it? What do we call it here? Flea market, like
Hmm.
markets that we
Yeah.
have. And then they do all that stuff before they run to school. And they'll, of course, inevitably come late to
Mm,
school. And the teachers who don't care what this little kid had to go through will whip them for coming late.
mm,
This was their daily routine, so just to have gone through that shaped, not just me, but, my brothers, our worldview, as opposed to where you go to school of the elites and everybody's an elite and middle class, and, but you go there, you mingle with them, and it shaped my worldview to understand that some people really have it hard in life, not of their own making,
mm.
just accident of birth,
Yeah.
born into a poor family. And, I, funny enough, 30 years ago, I think it was 2018, 19,
Hmm.
one of my close friends who I met in elementary school, so I've been in touch with him, he's still my friend.
Hmm.
So I went to Nigeria. He's like, come, let's go look for our classmates.
Mm,
And these are people I haven't seen in 30 years. So we went back. It took me, you know, looking for the so-called classmates. And you
mm,
go there, and some of them are just barrel pushers.
mm,
Barrel pushers are like people buy stuff from the market,
mm,
load it in their truck, barrel thing,
mm,
and give them little change, they push. Some of them are just conductors,
mm.
bus conductors. Some of them are, you know, just all kinds of um, hard labor,
Yeah.
trying to survive. There's this one guy, because in Nigeria, they rank you as like, this is the best in class, this is second best, this is third best, right?
Right.
So I'll come in that, I'll come first best, second, but this guy was consistently, either second or third.
Mm,
But because of his family circumstances, he just didn't go further after high school.
mm,
He's just there eking out a living. And you look at yourself and you wonder, like, what if you were born into their family? What
mm.
makes you better than them?
Yeah.
But through the efforts of our parents, we are here in the States.
Hmm.
We're all on Zoom. They can't even do Zoom. These little things, but it's just we were lucky. And we had our parents who, pushed all boundaries to kind of create a better life for their children, and for that, I think, we all ought to be thankful, and I'm eternally thankful.
Mm. Very well said. I think I echo your sentiment to where you don't know what circumstances you get born into, but the best thing you can do is be grateful because it's that giving away your position isn't necessarily going to help the person that's in a lower position, and like taking it upon yourself to look to help them in the way that you can, using utilizing your resources. I think that's a more noble aim. And seeing the organization you started out with, my sister and a couple of friends a few years back, maybe it's been 10 years at this point, is something I saw. Yeah, it's got to be at least 10 years, maybe 11 at this point, because I was finishing up college at the time. Can you tell
It's
me about that a little bit?
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to your sister Phoebe. um, for being a go-getter.
Mhm.
Because we'll often sit around and just be like, oh, the leaders in Africa, they're atrocious, they are so corrupt
Mhm.
and wish we can do this and wish we can do that. And it was their sister that was just, she brought papers like, you guys, you keep talking about you actually do something about it. And she brought paper and just started jotting. And that's how we're like, we set goals for how we're going to get started. And it was, our first meeting was New Year's Day,
Mm.
2010, January 1, 2010. So it was kind of our New Year resolution.
Yeah.
Um, and we were younger, you know, a lot of people were in college.
Mhm.
Um, at most we could spare $100, $50 on nothing,
Mhm.
right? But we had a will that we wanted to, change lives for people,
Right.
no matter how small. And even though our money was small then, but we believed that we could, tap into. And I think even you, when we started, I think you came, your younger brother came,
Mhm.
and we gave $10, $20 back then,
Yeah.
and it was small dollars, when we did gala nights.
Mhm.
But when we put it all together, it was enough to pay for school fees
Mm.
for some people back then. And so we do all those gala nights, invite our friends, invite our parents, we raise a little money, and we use that to do some things. Fast forward, you know, years later,
Mhm.
we're no longer poor students, we're middle class,
Mm.
um, mid-level, senior level, professionals.
Mhm.
We're now not able, now we can give a lot more,
Mhm.
you know, and we're now doing things that are a lot more impactful,
Mm.
but the key thing is our initial belief that we as ordinary people, as young people, can make a difference. And that's why we called it Selfless for Africa,
Mm.
right? Because we believe that if enough people practice selflessness,
Mhm.
the $10, the $20, little dollars, put it together. Um, we have a saying in my tribe, we call it Igwebuike, which means there is strength in numbers.
Mm.
So the more people come together, the more they can change outside of um, just sitting there and just talking government. The government, they are not selected from an island of corrupt people.
Right.
They're just a representation of the people.
Mm.
And because of that, a lot of the programs we were doing from the get-go, our thing was that we had to get our beneficiaries
Mhm.
to give back.
Yeah.
So when we started, we were giving scholarship to high school students.
Mhm.
And our thing for them was like, we'll give you scholarship, but we want you to come together and form a club where you are tutoring the more junior students.
Yeah.
That was our condition. And fast forward, now we are doing stuff. We're also working with younger university graduates.
Mm.
And our key project that we do year to year, we call it the Young Leaders in Education Award.
Mhm.
And what we do is we ask university students to form a group and essentially write for a grant. And we publicize this around Nigeria.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we do Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, Zambia. And we'll publicize it. They form a group, they write a grant, we select winners.
Mm.
So these university students, they go and do a project. Some will build a school.
Mhm.
Some will renovate a school that's dilapidated, no window, no door. Some will renovate a hospital that's just like it's not even a hospital, it's just horrible. Some
Mm.
will put in a water borehole because there's no water, so they'll
Yeah.
dig deep and do the water borehole. And you have these 19, 20-year-olds doing all these projects with, uh, of course, they have to work with community leaders
Mhm.
to get permission, to get land. And our whole intent is when they are done with this project, it's not just the impact
Mm.
in the community, is that their mind, the impact in their mind is forever till they die,
Mm.
right? They're never going to forget working with us
Yeah.
way across the ocean. They've never met us,
Mm.
working with all these village elders, the chiefs, working with the corrupt government officials,
Mhm.
working with the laborers who are actually they are going and contracting with them, which in Africa is not so, it's not even smooth in America to work with contractors or handymen, not to talk of in Africa,
Right.
right? Juggling their education.
Mm.
By the time they go through this whole rigorous thing,
Mhm.
and at the end of the goal, they see the students, the pupils in school, or the community that has water now because
Mhm.
of their effort.
Right.
We do this through them, through students, because we want them to be our next generation of leaders.
Mm.
It's not even, doing the project is important
Mhm.
for, right? Because it's changing. But our mission is that selflessness.
Mhm.
So making that mental impact for them to change their thinking
Yeah.
and do these life-lasting projects mentally for them. That is the biggest win for us.
Mm.
And what we've seen over the years is that a lot of them continue down this path. A
Yeah.
lot of these students, they come from very poor background, but
Mhm.
while their peers are, doing what young kids do in the university and all that, they are doing this stuff. They are
Mm.
building their resume,
Yeah.
poor background. And some of them have leveraged this experience, building their resume to apply to go international. There are some of them that are doing, one had a full ride scholarship to India to do masters, now on a full ride scholarship in Japan doing his PhD.
Mhm.
Another is doing PhD, I think, in Sweden, right? And so on and so forth. So we've seen them over the years just doing all these amazing things from
Right.
start. And it's not because their parents were rich. It's just they started on this, they stayed on this, they built their portfolio of work, and it
Mhm.
was a shoe-in anytime they applied for any program,
Mm.
and they'll get all these amazing opportunities. And ultimately, hopefully,
Yeah.
one day they will take it back home
Mm.
and we'll hopefully have this new breed of leaders that made us even get started.
Mm. And I guess 13 years later, like what's one thing that changed about you? Like you spoke about ingraining within these this new generation, like their mindset changed, their yeah, it's like if once you change your mind and once you're able to renew your mind, it's something that goes with you to the grave. So like what's what's something that you gained in kind of like breaking apart the boundaries, and instead of like sitting around in a circle and like pontificating somebody should do this, and having that energy from my sister to say, okay, hey, here's the legwork we're going to do, here's the paperwork, and then it's like now we have directives, now we have something that we can do collaboratively. Like how has that transformed you, like in the last 10, 13 years, like starting your own family, getting out of college, becoming established as a business professional?
That's an answer to beg for a very long-winded answer.
I welcome it.
Um, um, where do I begin? It's been transformational in many ways, in many ways that I can talk for 1 hour.
Mhm,
I think one of the immediate lessons we learned in the first year, because we started as friends,
mhm,
we till today, unless I'm writing something official where I think I need to show gravitas,
mhm,
I don't even show any title in
mhm,
Southwest for Africa. So because we are friends, we're like, we're not gonna do any title,
mhm,
you know. We're just going to operate as friends, have consensus. We didn't have any rule, we didn't have any boundary. We're just like, this is what we do. And then within that first year, we realized that there is a reason why organizations have code of conduct.
mhm,
There's a reason why organizations have structures
mhm,
and assigned responsibilities, whether it's for profit or non-profit organizations. There's a CEO, there's chief of marketing, there's chief fundraiser, there is accountant, treasurer. Roles are defined,
mhm.
you know, because essentially, how was the saying? You can't have two captains on a ship.
Right.
We found that out because we had a diverse group of people. You mentioned your sister,
Mhm,
Cameroonian.
mhm,
We are predominantly Nigerians. We had Ghanaians, we had Zambians, right? Um, at some point, consensus wasn't working,
mhm,
right? Um, Being friends at some point, it was challenging,
mhm.
right? You sometimes have votes, and that person will be like, oh, maybe it's for if the majority agrees, but I disagree with majority, and we won't move forward
Mhm.
because I disagree. Right.
Right.
So it was pretty challenging to navigate, So after that, first year I learned different hard lessons.
Mhm,
But I think one of the things that came out of it was personally, I became a better person.
mhm,
I became a better leader. But I'm not sure that I think it's the cumulative life effect,
mhm.
life experiences up to that point and after that point, right? I think that life as you go on, you have to be so open-minded to
Right.
know that the more you know, the less you know,
Mm,
right?
right.
Education is a continuum.
Mhm,
So for me personally, anytime I meet somebody who is so certain in his opinion,
mhm,
it's a turn off for me,
mhm,
right? And I'm going to digress a lot, because I told
mhm.
you it was such an open-ended question. But
Right. Right.
when we were growing up, they told us there were 9 planets. That's because of the limitations of their telescope.
Mhm,
Now that has changed, right?
right.
You go to the Bible, it says Solomon is the wisest man, right?
Mhm,
He did not even know to create electricity in his wisdom,
mhm,
or to create a car, right?
mhm,
So the world is changing and everything we know is evolving,
mhm.
you know? So going back to the question,
Yeah.
I had to figure out how to lead diverse opinions, attitudes, mentality, personalities
Mhm,
in that first year. Now, of course, some people just, it's like, you have personalities that's like, it must be my way. If
mhm.
it's not my way, we're never going to move forward, right?
Right.
But you have to navigate that as well. And I think at the end of the day, those first 2 years of doing this, um, you know, even help me as a person, help me professionally to deal with difficult employees
Mhm.
sometimes, even helps me personally, helps me in my marriage,
Yeah.
right? When you're like, oh, it must be my way or this is right. No, it's not because folks are malicious.
Mhm.
It's not because folks just, because maybe even me that think I'm right, I'm the wrong person,
Right.
right? So one of the things I've recognized is our individual orientation shapes us to act the way we do.
Right.
Um, and where I've gotten to in my life as much as I can is if someone does something that I think is offensive,
Mhm.
I take a step back and I'm like, did this person intend to be malicious?
Mhm.
If I think that no malice was intended, that it was just an expression of the person's emotions, that this is the person trying to communicate the
Mhm.
best they know how to, mix of orientation and personality and mentality. If I just think this is just an expression and communication with no malice, then what am I offended about?
Mhm.
Everybody has a right to express, right? Obviously without harming, but no malice intended, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I learned personally, and has helped me navigate my career,
Mhm.
helped me navigate my marriage, helped me navigate friendship, helped me navigate family, right?
Mhm.
That's how it's been beneficial. And since then, I'm involved in different organizations. In most instances, I'm leading them as well. And as you're leading some of these people, um, sometimes there's generational differences. I'm a different generation
Mhm.
from the even much younger one, from the people that I lead in some other organizations, right?
Right.
So understanding and taking a step back to try and figure out where is this person coming from?
Yeah.
Why is this person right? I give a lot of credit to, Selfless for Africa
Mhm.
for teaching me that. But I say it's also cumulative because even in elementary school, in high school, in middle school in Nigeria, we have what we call class monitor or class prefect.
Mhm.
This is the person that when the teacher is not in the class, the person tries to maintain order
Mhm.
by, we'll call it writing the names of noisemakers,
Mhm.
you know. So if you're making noise, this person, the class prefect, will just write your name. So
Yeah.
and try and maintain order because once a teacher comes in, be like, where's the class prefect? Why is the class so noisy?
Mhm.
And I was always the youngest in my class. I came out of high school at 15,
Wow.
but I was almost always the class prefect,
Mhm.
right? So at that young age, in all those years, I knew how to deal with students or I had to learn
Yeah.
how to manage students who were much, much older
Mhm.
to keep the class just tranquil,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and that's why it's cumulative because kids are not the kindest people. you know, they'll bully you, they'll taunt you, and all that,
Mhm.
And when you are done, bullying them in class as the young class prefect outside class,
Mhm.
they go to. So I remember having some guys who would protect me back in the day as we were going back to school. We were friends, much older.
Yeah.
Part of going to school in the village then was that, given the poverty,
Mhm.
sometimes my classmates were two times my age, because
Mhm.
going to school wasn't a thing for their family. They were just, if I was 7, they were 14, 15,
Mhm.
but had to manage them, right?
Yeah.
So, but when you are going through this and living, you're not even thinking that you are shaping and learning
Mhm.
um, mentally. You're just living life,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't get to put it all together until much later, even much more after Selfless for Africa, because folks are always like, how do you all stay friends? Because fast forward
Mhm.
all these years later, all the people that we started Selfless for Africa, we're now married,
Mhm.
you know, and not just started, but, we had other people join us along the way.
Yeah.
Now married, have wives, not almost all of us
Mhm.
married, have wives or
Yeah.
husbands. We're now like family,
Mhm.
you know, like we doubled through marriage. Our
Mhm.
kids are growing up as friends, brothers, and sisters.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably the greatest thing that we gained new family.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we stayed close, and trusted each other as we
Mhm.
are doing all this stuff to help people,
Mhm.
right? I think that probably is the biggest benefit because our network, is like, you know, tight.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
done,
awesome.
done rambling.
No, you're good. I like your answer. And I'll ask you one last question before you have to run. But
No, I got time. Can
okay,
I?
you got time. Cool.
I got
What
time.
got you? What's something you're looking forward to today?
Rest.
Mm.
Rest. Um, Along the line of what I just said about bond,
Mhm.
is that most of my friends, who majority of them are part of Selfless for Africa,
Mhm.
I've been honored to be um, best man, best man in their marriages,
Mhm.
and subsequently godparents to their kids, most of their kids, almost all of them.
Mhm.
And I was telling you earlier, you know, I have about 12 god kids.
Mhm.
Um, Again, testament to the bond that we have, like it transcends doing these nonprofits
Yeah.
that we do and helping people to just family
Mhm.
now, you know,
Right.
like we have each other's back. We do things together. Anyway, so last year I decided that it would be great to bring all my god kids together
Mhm.
to kind of know each other, but along the way, bring their siblings.
Mhm.
It'll also be an opportunity for us as friends, brothers, sisters to, socialize, meet, and just in a relaxed setting, hang out.
Yeah.
So I started doing our Children's Day in the park.
Mhm.
Started it last year and did it yesterday. Sorry, I told you my voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me. So yesterday we did our second Children's Day in the park.
Mhm.
Um, I think there must have been 60 to 70 people, including kids.
Mhm.
So between marinating meat, on shopping for what we need on Friday nights,
Mhm.
went to sleep about 1 a.m. Um, and then yesterday we're, again preparing and hanging out. We were at the park from think about 2:20 or so till like 8 p.m.
Mhm.
you know. And after that, I had to go to an event. I came back home at 2 a.m. So I have other community roles, as I mentioned earlier, that I lead that, often means that I have to I'm obligated to go to certain things, you know.
Right.
That continues today via Zoom at night. Have
Mhm.
some community function I have to do for about 3, 4 hours tonight.
Oh, wow.
But before then is rest and hang with my kids and probably go visit my brother, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
But I get energized by being with people I love,
Mhm.
you know. So my brother lives 2, 3 miles away from me. Um, so just all that is rest and relax for me. That's what I look forward to before Monday.
Yeah. That's awesome. I might, it's funny, I was thinking about maybe, no, I'll keep that for offline. I was like, I might ask you if you have any homes available around your area. See if I become a neighbor.
Come on down. There are always homes for sale.
Yeah, that's true. It's like,
You know, I had this and I really wish I acted on it
mhm,
back in the day before the pandemic happened and real estate became super pricey.
mhm,
But some of my friends, we had this dream of buying a land
mhm,
and building a community where
mhm.
we all live together,
Yeah.
you know, and everybody would develop their own house and we just have a community for
Mhm.
us. I'm not sure that is dead, but right now it looks pretty dead.
Yeah.
Um, because families have started and work and everything. Folks can just transplant their jobs and everything, or their kids, and some have preferences. So it's harder.
Yeah.
But the great beauty is that, like I mentioned, my brother and I live in the same neighborhood, you know,
Mhm.
so like walking distances, you know,
Yeah.
that is super awesome. My sister is not far away. We see
Mhm.
each other, as you know, our parents are like 1 hour away,
Yeah.
you know. So that's awesome. Maybe when we get older and start to retire, my brother and I are still exploring buying land.
Mhm.
We're calling it compound.
Yeah.
We're still exploring doing a compound so we can build and our kids can grow up together as siblings. But we're pretty close, you know, but I'm buying a 3 acre property and just not sure why we didn't close that deal. You
Yeah.
know, now the pandemic happened and everything is like double the price. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
think the opportunities always seem to come around. And I think, like you said, looking forward to things like rest on a day like today and being able to just recharge. It's really, it gives you like those bits of clarity where it doesn't feel like everything's happening all at once and you got to like just stay on the treadmill or the hamster wheel to keep up.
Yep.
It's like I was saying earlier, you were asking me like um when am I going to get married? And I think the answer I finally settled on was when I stopped thinking,
Yep.
when I stop asking myself that question or looking to answer it like out of desperation. I think
Yeah.
that's when it's like, oh, okay, like it's time, go do the thing, and then join the club and
Yeah.
just bring
You're not
people
joining
into
the
the fold.
club because ain't no club. There's definitely no club.
No club.
You'll be in a club by yourself in your house with the choice you made as a partner,
That's
right?
true.
So I'm always like, don't rush into marriage.
No.
Don't marry because someone is telling you to.
Right.
Don't marry out of pressure. Marry because you want to. I
Yeah.
think the older I get, along the line of the more you know, the less you actually know. Like
Mhm.
to me, that's education. Education tells you that there are many possibilities. Even science
Yeah.
would tell you that everything is, how did they say it again? An approximation
Mhm.
within what they know at the time.
Right.
Yeah? Um, So where I am now is that based on what I know, there has to be an intentionality,
Mhm.
a deliberateness around living,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Have to just realize that everything is temporary.
Mhm.
The next second is not guaranteed. And we take this for granted.
Yeah.
Like we say it so flippantly, but it is a fact of life. The next breath is not guaranteed for any of us.
Yeah.
So we have to be intentional about the choices we make.
Mhm. Yeah.
The choice we're making is a selfish, which is fine. We have
Mhm.
to be selfish around our own happiness and protect ourselves so folks do not destroy our peace.
Yeah.
So selfishness is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
But I've also realized that selflessness gives more fulfillment and making other people smile,
Mhm.
right? Gives a type of innate happiness
Yeah.
that even after you pass that, sometimes you look back and you say, I did this once
Yeah.
upon a time, right?
Mhm.
But even more importantly, is that all of us, we spend a lot of time working,
Yeah.
trying to make money to survive, to pay our bills. Along the way, we may be driving and a policeman will pull us over and give us a speeding ticket.
Mhm.
And it may be $300-400 if you're coming back from Valdosta and that road, Perry, Georgia. That's where they're always stationed. I've gotten a ticket there a couple of times.
Yeah, that's where they
And
hang out.
whether you have, you got yours there too. And whether you have money or not, you're
Mhm.
gonna pay,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a million things that could always happen. Your car breaks down, or things break down in the house. Whether you have, I was just sitting here last week, just
Mhm.
minding my business.
Yeah.
And the HOA came and said, we must repaint our house, pressure wash it and repaint. Now, I don't know if you've been to my house, but it's fine,
Right.
But they're like, we have to repaint it. They've changed the color code. Now,
Mm.
to repaint my house and everything, it's gonna be about 6, 7 thousand.
Jeez.
Just minding my business,
Right.
right? Now, whether I like it or not, I have to. We're just sitting there, doubled our taxes. The
Mhm.
property taxes doubled, the insurance doubled, right?
Yeah.
Whether you have money or not. These are just, if you add the totality of what I'm telling you, is at least $10,000
Mhm.
in just an annual expense you didn't think of.
Right.
Whether you have money or not, you have to pay it and
Yeah.
do it. Otherwise, any of these people can take your home. The government or the HOA can put a lien.
Yeah.
Now, us as individuals, human beings, we just work to pay that bill. And we may sometimes even have to borrow money or
Mhm.
swipe credit card, which is borrowing to pay that bill.
Yeah.
But to make ourselves happy,
Mhm.
the people that count, our children, our parents, we're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm too poor. Oh, I don't have money. Now, all these inconsequentials,
Yeah.
you go to great lengths to make it happen. You
Mhm.
didn't plan for it. You didn't think it was going to happen, but you're able to fight to do it.
Yeah.
But you and the people you say who really count in your life, you are too poor to find just a fraction of that of planned money.
Mhm.
The people, our parents, who went through hell for us to be here.
Yeah.
Our siblings, who we know when everything happens, when people leave us, they're going to always have our back, no matter how we agree or don't agree with them.
Mhm.
But if any of us end up in the hospital, our friends are going to go to work. You know, they're not going to leave their family to be with us. But the people that come and be like, oh, my brother will be our siblings, our parents,
Yeah.
right? Anyway, so I launch into this to say we have to be intentional about we work hard, but a core part of our living has to be to do the things we love, to
Yeah.
take care of those who will have our back no matter what,
Yeah.
to whatever extent we can. Because to the extent that those inconsequential and planned things happen, we pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Those consequential people that we know that will have our back, we should plan for them too as a matter of living and be intentional, recognizing that we may not be here,
Yeah.
they may not be here, but at the end of the day, if we outlive those we love, we take joy in knowing that while we were all together,
Mm-hmm.
we made each other happy. And those are the memories that we'll have to live back later.
Yeah. Definitely agree with you. I think that's a good point for us to stop. But thank you so much for doing this interview and obliging me the time. I'll ask you the question, maybe two questions. The question from the very start: are you who you said you were, or in having thought about it, who do you say you are?
I still say I am who I said I was. That's
Yeah.
who I think I am. Yeah.
And how can people get in touch with you, find out more about Selfless for Africa or other projects you might want to share that friends or family members may be taking part in?
I have so your questions involve a lot of answers. Selflessforafrica.org with the number 4 in the middle, selflessforafrica.org. That's a nonprofit.
Mhm.
We have an Instagram page, we have a Facebook page, we have YouTube that shows the um, video recordings of everything we've done over the years.
Mhm.
And you can get in touch, on there. I have one of the things I believed in on coming to America is when we were in Africa, we wanted to be um, uh, not just Americans, but British so
Mhm.
badly.
Mhm.
You guys may be French. And we read history like Mungo Park discovered River Niger.
Mhm.
As those who were living next to River Niger didn't know there was water there until Mungo Park came.
Mhm.
We read all kinds of British history
Mhm.
to be our narrative because of colonization.
Mhm.
Um, Not bad to read and learn, right? And it's
Right.
not the fault of the British, it's the fault of our leadership. Along the line of being class prefect and writing the names of noisemakers,
Mhm.
we also wrote the names of those who are speaking vernaculars.
Mhm.
In other words, students who speak our native languages were punished
Mhm.
because they had to speak English.
Mhm.
On coming to the States, I now saw that there are folks who are looking to know where they came from.
Yeah.
Ancestry.com exists for a reason. People are looking and doing DNA tests to figure out what part of the world, the descendants of slavery,
Mhm.
right, uprooted, and now they are looking for their identity. And some of them are moving back,
Mhm.
and you see some of them, they're like, oh, I'm 50% Nigerian, and they're so excited.
Mhm.
But we have it. We know my last name is Ezeoke. I know where the man Ezeoke lived and had his compound.
Mhm.
And but we don't want to keep, we just want to speak English and write the names of vernacular
Right.
and have all these false narratives that were a consequence of colonization.
Hmm.
Again, I'm by no means a Black Panther or what we call it, Black Power,
Hmm.
right? I think just as the Irish celebrate their Irish ancestry and do St. Patrick's Day,
Hmm.
and the Jewish folks celebrate theirs and so on. You see the Germans, they have their flag and so on. I
Hmm.
think we Africans need to move away from adopting
Hmm.
the narrative of Mungo Park discovered River Niger that has been there for centuries,
Yeah.
to recognize that we have our own story and we have our own history.
Mm.
Even though um, formal education, the way we know it now, came in the past 100 years for us, but
Hmm.
it's time for us to start writing it down.
Very true.
So along that line, I wrote some books that are on Amazon,
Nice.
right? I wrote a book in Igbo.
Mm.
It's adopted in Chihuahua, but one is a toy book. We call it my Talking Igbo book. It's
Mm.
like for kids, the kids. I collaborated with a couple of my friends to do that.
Hmm.
We did it in Yoruba, which is another Nigerian language.
Hmm.
My Talking Yoruba book. Um, again, it's a toy that you touch it and it says the word, but on the left side, we have narrative and folklore story and bits about who we are as a people, Igbo, Yoruba. And we did it in Swahili,
Mm.
so we have my Talking Swahili book. And then the ones where, it's not a toy, you just want a book,
Hmm.
right? Call it my Beautiful Igbo book
Mm.
or my Beautiful Yoruba book, same content, but one is a toy
Hmm.
and the other one is just a book, right? So they're all on Amazon and whatever platform that people want. It's on Etsy, it's on Amazon.
Hmm.
Um, as I mentioned earlier, I also lead the equivalent of my county,
Hmm.
in case anybody from my county is listening, right? And we have our website, it's called aguataunion.com, right? So folks can go there and find, and again, it's people from the same county that share the same culture and norms and tradition, that talk the same
Hmm.
dialect and intonation of Igbo, to
Mm.
find their brothers and sisters. We have about 60 adult members,
Wow.
right? With that, we have our website.
How do you
And
spell
so
it?
on
Okay.
AGUATAUNION.com. AguataUnion.com.
Let's
Um, I can go on. I have other
keep
things.
going. Keep
See,
going.
nah, these are the core ones that are more applicable to the generality of people who may listen to or not. The Aguata Union one to
Mhm.
an insignificant extent, but the need to preserve our culture. And I
Yeah.
encourage everybody, it doesn't have to be African. In fact, along the way, I wanted to do it for um, all of Africa.
Hmm.
Nigeria has an estimated 300 to 500 different languages, not intonation, not dialect,
Hmm.
distinct languages, tribe, culture, norms.
Right.
At least 95% of them is not documented,
Mm.
maybe.
Right.
You go to other African countries, the same thing, and we're not writing it down. And some of them are becoming extinct. Some of these stories, the older folks that know it are leaving.
Mm.
A lot of us are immigrating to Western countries.
Yeah.
And I think we have to document our heritage, our ancestry. Other cultures should as well, right? Not just the African, not just Black people, anybody can,
Right.
right? So not making it an African pride or Black pride thing. I just think it's important for people to have this narrative, because my children who are born in the States are gonna wake up one day.
Mhm.
They may have questions. I used to teach Igbo to young professionals. You see them, some of them are doctors and nurses. They come to Igbo class in their scrub.
Mhm.
Some are professors and they are learning. They were born here and they're angry at their parents. They were like, our parents never taught us. They wanted to learn.
Mhm.
And, I was younger then and I'm like, why? What's wrong with our parents? Now I'm
Mhm.
a parent and it's hard actually to teach your kids, right?
Right.
But I think we have to. We have to make our effort and see where that lands. So I encourage anybody that's listening to this
Yeah.
to know a little bit more about yourself so you have something to pass on to the next generation. Even if you're African American,
Mhm.
talk to your parents. Some people have not documented their family tree,
Yeah.
so talk to your parents before your parents are no more.
Mhm.
Document your family tree, do your research, have something you uh hand over to your kids.
Very well said. Thank you again, Ugo. I knew you had it in you, and you're here saying, I don't know about
I
that."
know, how
It's
long
like
has it been?
I
How
think
long have you been trying to get me on?
I'm pretty sure you didn't. You're saying like how long it took us to do this. I figure when I was thinking about it, I was like, everything's gonna work out in good time. It's not the one thing that I'm learning in doing this is that like you said, value the present because the next breath isn't promised. And um I was listening back to an episode that's gonna come out in 2 weeks, and we titled it "Don't Chase What You Want." Like just being being diligent enough to work hard, play hard, party. Like you have to party and you have to set time for rest. Like there's a time for everything, and obsessing over the pursuit of one thing um, might make it kind of evade you like further and further. Like it's always out of arm's reach, and it's like it's good to have a goal in mind, but it's like trying to get something so bad to where like whether it's through opinion or something else, it's like sometimes you just got to like reset, recalibrate, and then go at it again. And I think that's the best way to start a Sunday.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
You're very
Glad you did
welcome.
this. I know I'm camera shy, so I've avoided doing it for so long, but I'm glad we had the conversation. So thank you.
Me too.